Boruto Episode 8, The Dream's Revelation. Now before I get into reviewing this episode, I have to mention right off the top that you should definitely check out Naruto The Last if you haven't, because the mysterious character that shows up in this is a big part of that film. So if you guys want like some extra answers before the anime goes through like, what I assume is going to be like the much shortened version compared to the film, if you want some extra answers you can go there, and maybe it'll give you some clues as to where things may or may not be headed for, you know, the series. So definitely check out the movie if you haven't seen it just yet. But that was awesome. That was one of my favorite things about this. Having seen the film, I was like, as soon as he showed up, the character from the beginning, I was like, okay, instantly recognizable for me. Although he does kind of look like Mitsuki a little bit, I was like, I know, which character this is. And it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that character because, once again, without spoiling what happens in the film, I'm very curious how he could have a physical representation in the series. Like how he showed up in the dream is kind of the only way I could see that happening throughout like the entire series. It would kind of have to be a dream. But I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. I'm very excited for that. Of course, you can see during the dream sequence he had the six paths like tattooed around his neck. So of course, you can kind of guess what that means, but like I said, if you check out the film, you get like some very definitive answers. It'll give you like the character's whole backstory, and it'll make sense why that character has that and who he is. Not a new character, so I highly recommend you checking it out because it'll be very interesting to see how that translates from the character from the movie to the character now, especially with it being a big time difference because that was before the kids were even born. So it's very interesting how that played out. But I love that part of the episode. I love the fact that this is actually a really funny episode, especially after Boruto had the dream. Because before that, it was just like, okay, I have this ability. He's talking with Shikadai trying to figure things out. He ends up making the shadow clones to, talk with himself to try to go through some of the stuff that's happened. They kind of recap some of the previous episodes and specifically revolving around the actual dark energy that's controlling people, which may or may not be chakra. And I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, he's really trying to figure it out. He doesn't want to go to his dad because he wants to be the one to help everybody. And as things continue on, he ends up having that dream, and the person's like, I'm contacting you through your dreams to let you know that, this power is real and stuff like that, and you're the hero. And, he doesn't do all that, but obviously main character, he's doing the hero thing. So it was all serious, and it was like, investigative before that, where he's like, Boruto's just trying to figure out, what is this power? How come I'm the only one that can see it? What's really going on? And then after he has that dream, he goes into, it's the byakugan, and I'm like the hero meant to save all these people and stuff. And it was super funny to me because, of course, they have, the kids go to see this movie about like a random ninja who, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I was like, is this supposed to make me think of Itachi? Because when he used his powers and everything went negative, all I thought of was Itachi. And it's like, the character he has like an evil eye. He's like kind of evil, but technically he's a hero. And I'm like, all I can think of is Itachi when that happened. So I don't know if that was meant to be a reference to Itachi, but that's all I thought of when I kept seeing that. Because I'm like, he uses this super epic genjutsu that like freezes everybody in place. It's the negative thing. And he's like kind of evil, but ultimately he's good. It could also apply to Sasuke technically. But because of the visuals, it just made me think of Itachi, and I don't know if that was meant to be the case, but I was like, that's all I think of when they, like, everything they said and everything that character did, I was like, this makes me think of Itachi. So I don't know if that was meant to be the point, but the character is like, the hero that the kids talk about, where it's like, it's not meant to be that easy. It's like, in the real world, it's not that easy when the villains just show up and say, hey, I'm the villain. And after Boruto has that dream, he's like, I'm the hero now. I have the one special eye. And he's doing his poses and stuff, and we get to see Himawari, and she's like, okay, you're being really weird. But I loved all that. Like, he was being really silly, and we get to see, Boruto interacting with his dad, because Naruto and Shikamaru come back, and he's just screaming and stuff, and he's like talking to himself and doing the whole nine, like the hero, reflection speech and stuff. But of course, when Hinata says, like, Boruto's been acting weird all day, they check it out, like Naruto and Shikamaru are like, oh crap, he might be controlled by this stuff. So they go in, and of course, he's sitting on the couch, and he's doing like the anime pose and stuff, and he's like switching his legs and stuff super fast, and it was just a really funny sequence. And he believed he had the byakugan. So of course they talk about that. They do reference the fact that Himawari has it, because that was in like a one-shot manga like a super long time ago. where she actually does awaken the byakugan like super at random. She almost killed Boruto actually, and she like paralyzed Naruto for like the whole day. He couldn't even go to his Hokage ceremony. That was the whole point of that one shot, is that Himawari knocked him out by accident because he went in to like save Boruto, and like he pushed him out of the way at the last minute, and Himawari was like super pissed. They were fighting, and Boruto like ripped her bear in half, and she like lost it on him, and she almost killed him, and then she like paralyzed Naruto for the whole day. So they referenced the fact that she has it, which I thought was pretty cool. And they talk about how, you know, you have to have a ton of training and stuff like that. And Boruto ends up going to meet his grandfather, which I thought was pretty cool. So we get to see Hisashi, I believe is his name, I never really remember his name, and Hanabi, which is pretty cool. So we get to see both of them, and I love the way that they kind of played it up, where it was like Boruto never wanted to go there, and I was like, I could see him being the super strict grandfather and stuff, and that's what I thought, and that's how they play it up when he first shows up. And then, of course, he gets, like, super old school grandfather, where he's just super happy, like, it's me, your grandfather, and he's, like, rubbing cheeks with both of them. And Himawari loves it, and Boruto's just like, I hate this so much. And I was like, that's a cool way to do that, because I was like, I could see him being, you know, the super serious grandfather, just because that's his character. And he's just, like, the happy old guy, and it was just super funny, and I love that. And then Hanabi came out, and she's like, Dad, like, you gotta stop bothering them. And then she did the exact same thing, like, it's me, your aunt. So I really love that scene. It was just super funny. But, you know, after that, of course, they have it where, you know, they talk about Boruto's ability, and it's like, you know, at this point, I can't tell if you truly have the byakugan or not. So let's test it out. And so now we're going to get to see them fight. It probably won't last too long because the levels are astronomically different between these two characters. But there's going to be a bit of a training fight, and I'm excited to see what comes of this. I don't think the power will get revealed to anyone else just yet, because they like just introduced whatever this constellation thing is going to be with the comet coming down and all that stuff. So I'm not 100% sure what to really expect in regards to who's going to find out about this ability that he has, and, you know, how they're going to go about explaining it. But I am excited to see what they do in this next episode with them training, and just what Boruto kind of realizes about his power and how it is different, what he will decide to tell people as far as what he can see with his eye. So I'm looking forward to what they decide to reveal. As I mentioned in my last review, it's really hard to say because I haven't read the manga, so it just makes me wonder, like, has this already been set up in the manga where they have the character from Naruto the Last, and he, you know, talks about all this stuff? So it just makes me wonder where things are headed, like what's mixed up and what's not. So I really got to catch up on the manga now, because I'm like, okay, we're clearly getting into some answers, so I got to see what they've changed, or what they've, you know, or at least, you know, rearranged or completely changed around as far as what this ability is so far. But I think this was a pretty good episode. It was mostly a comedy episode, and that's kind of why I liked it. They talked about the ability. They actually took some decent steps going forward, giving us some answers. They throw in like a little mystery now with the character from The Last coming back into play, and it's like, all right, well, he knows that Boruto has something to do with this. Now we know that. We still don't know how things are going to play out as far as other characters learning about the eye. But I feel like they did some really good stuff in this episode, leading to, you know, the main threat, or the, you know, the potential threat in the future, answers as to exactly what this eye is. So I really enjoyed this episode for that. Plus, you know, the stuff with him wearing the glasses, and he was wearing them for a long time in the episode. Like after he wore them, he was wearing them when he was talking to, I think it was Denki and Shika. I can never remember if Denki is in the scene. I always forget if it's him or somebody else, but he was talking to them like, I'm going to go visit my grandfather, and he still had the glasses on, and it just made me laugh so much. But I liked the episode. We got to see Himawari and Hinata, and so I enjoyed that, even though it was not too much. It wasn't super crazy, but we got to see them, so I just thought that was cool. Himawari looks really tall to me. Like, I thought she looked way taller than she normally does. Like, when I would read the manga, she just always looks so much shorter to me, so I was like, she looks, you know, surprisingly tall, to me at least. Maybe it was just, you know, from not moving, you know, just like panels from the manga to a full screen, you know, motion thing. So maybe that's just a minute difference, but I just thought she looked a lot taller. That was something that I noticed. But ultimately, I think this was a pretty good episode. Like I said, I'm mostly excited because I didn't expect them to ever do anything with, you know, The Last. So I was like, all right, The Last is its own thing. But that movie's about Naruto and Hinata kind of getting together. Sorry if that's a spoiler at this point, but that's one of the big things about it. But they bring something back from that, and they make it relevant again, and admittedly I was very surprised. It makes total sense. Like I said, you see the Sage of Six Paths thing, so it's like, of course, that's the way to do it. We're going into, of course, the Boruto movie, which brings in some more stuff. So I was like, all right, this is an interesting thing to do, knowing that we're eventually going to get to them basically just redoing Boruto the movie, kind of like Dragon Ball Super redid the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. That's what we're going to get at some point with Boruto. We're just going to get a recreation of Boruto the movie, and now we actually get a cool tie-in with the last. So I'm excited to see how all that stuff plays out. But like I said, I think this was a fun episode, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I definitely want to know what answers you guys think we're going to get from the next episode. I think that was kind of my question for the last review, because it was like, what's going to happen as far as what we find out. We got a little bit. We didn't really get any answers. It was kind of like more questions because of what they introduced with the character. But as far as the next episode, I definitely want to know your theories on what new information we might learn. What characters do you guys think will actually find out the truth about Boruto's ability? Because I think it'll just be they fight. It's like, oh, he doesn't have the byakugan. And then he still won't explain the answer because it's really just a television thing, whether it's anime or not. It's like, oh, they couldn't figure out what it was. I was wrong. It's not the byakugan. And for whatever reason, Boruto's going to be like, I should hide it or something. For writing reasons, I should hide it to keep the mystery going for viewers. So personally, I feel like that's how it's going to play out. Especially with, you know, we're only like going to be at episode 9. So I don't think we'll be getting like the full official answers. I don't think we'll be getting like any super dramatic steps towards even getting some answers and having other characters learn the truth. I still think it'll kind of be the same as it's been for the past couple episodes. They'll figure out it's not the byakugan. Boruto will be like, oh, well, I don't know what I was seeing. Maybe I was dreaming, and I feel like he'll lie about it. And then it'll go right back to Boruto and Shikadai are the only two that know about his power. And then it'll just go on for a couple more episodes until finally we get some official answers, or at least some other characters find out. So that's my theory. It's kind of pessimistic, but that's just kind of how television works. I would love for them to change that up, but we'll see how it goes. But like I said, we'd love to know your theories on what answers we might be getting for this new ability and what characters you guys think will actually learn the truth. And I would love to know your theories on the new character, or I guess technically he's an old character, but we'd love to know your theories on how he's going to play into the story and what this whole constellation thing is with the comet coming down and all this other stuff. So I'd love to hear your theories on that. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.